When I came in here today, I came through a secret tunnel, and I felt like I was in a spy film, which was funny, because it was just the other week I was watching the Spooks spy drama on TV, and one of the characters said, "You can do good, or you can do well, but sooner or later, they will make you choose." But I grew up in a family business where we didn't need to choose. There was only one choice: doing the right thing. And I have a vision for the financial system where people are trusted to do the right thing. So looking back, throughout my childhood, conversations around our kitchen table were always about the family business. And my parents talked about the people in their business. It was their customers, it was their suppliers, and it was the people they employed. And these people all trusted my parents to do the right thing. And of course, they had difficult choices to make in their business, but they were trusted. And I had a difficult choice after leaving university. I could have stayed at home and worked in the family business, but I decided to come to London to be part of really big businesses. There I was, having lifted my two very heavy, full of clothes, green suitcases onto the train. My father waved me off from the platform at Edinburgh Waverley Station, and he said, "Caroline, whatever you do, remember your clients are real people." So, as a 23-year-old, fresh-faced, young girl, dreaming on the train about being an investment manager in London, I had grand ideas. Even grander than coming here, I wanted a Filofax. And not just that, I wanted a large corner office and a huge expense account. But when I arrived, the reality was far from that. There was no Filofax, there was no expense account, and we sat in a large open plan office. I spent most of my days filling in spreadsheets and looking at big screens with the share prices going up and down. There were numbers everywhere. But somewhere in between my spreadsheets, I found something I really loved, and that was meeting different people. I met the entrepreneurs and the charities we invested for. And I also sometimes got to meet the people that ran the companies we invested in. And it was through these conversations that I realized the financial system is not as complex as everybody thinks. Essentially, it revolves around three players: the savers, the companies in whom we invest, and the investors who connect these two people together. But in order for the financial system to work, an invisible bond of trust exists between these three players. So how is it that we in the investment industry are less trusted than estate agents? Because trust is not a new concept. It is not a new concept in the financial system. Founded in 1571, the London Stock Exchange is one of the oldest exchanges in the world. And its motto is, "My word is my bond." My word is my bond. That reminded me of that piece of advice that my father gave me when I was getting on the train. If you give somebody your word, they are trusting you to do the right thing. So, where did it all go wrong? Well, somewhere along the way, we lost sight of the fact that investing was so simple. By now, I was almost a decade into my career, and I was hearing consistently from the savers I met that they just wanted to protect their financial futures from inflation. Yet the investment industry had shifted its focus from beating inflation to beating indices. And that led us to forgetting we were investing in real businesses with real people. We spent more time talking about numbers and not people. And worrying about beating the index meant we worried less about what companies were actually doing. So long as businesses were producing big profits, the share prices went up. Savers were making money. What was not to love about that? But nobody in the investment industry seemed to be asking, were these big profits coming at a long-term cost? I remember Wells Fargo Bank. The salespeople were incentivized to open bank accounts. The problem was there weren't enough people who actually wanted bank accounts, so they just opened up false accounts. But that was producing profit for shareholders, and it wasn't until many years later that that bank got fined hugely, and it impacted its profitability. And we heard from Christina earlier about banks lending to people who couldn't afford to pay back the loans. But savers were addicted to unsustainable growth, unsustainable profits. And eventually, all this short-term greed came home to roost. And in 2008, what happened next happened very fast. Banks were collapsing. The stock market was plummeting. It was terrifying. Our clients didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what was going on. And even the governments did not know what was going on. But we were terrified of losing everything. But even worse than losing everything, we had actually lost something more valuable. And that was trust. It wasn't until my parents called one evening and they asked me a very simple question. Who is looking after the clients? And I realized I had personally got further and further away from the things that I loved, the people. So I resigned and I joined a group of people who have the same vision for me, where the investment industry is trusted to do the right thing. Because we are trusted in the UK with £7.7 trillion of savers' money. The purpose of investing that money is very simple. It is to provide savers with secure futures, and it is to provide companies with the capital they need to innovate and to thrive for decades. And we can do this by investing in businesses who are incentivized over the long term and who have cultures and who have behaviors that put people before profits. Imagine what we could do if we invested £7.7 trillion in businesses who put people before profits. We could solve climate change. We could eradicate hunger, and we could give people clean water everywhere. But to do that, the investment industry needs to look beyond the numbers. It needs to put people and culture at the heart of their thinking. Regulation is a short-term answer to a long-term problem. And our industry needs to be trusted to do the right thing because it is the right thing to do, not because it is regulated to do so. You can all be part of this vision. And if you would like to be, please get in touch with me afterwards about the next steps that savers, businesses, and investors can take to ensure that the financial system is trusted, because your futures are in our hands. Thank you.